What's going on, everyone? This is Gaurav and welcome to my learning channel. So in today's video, we're going to talk about why it is so difficult to use Excel as a data analyst. Now, before I start trashing Excel, I must acknowledge all the goods of Excel as well. I mean, it's a nice UI which has perhaps the lowest entry barrier. Think about it. If you have to process the data, let's just say about 50,000 odd records, and you plan to use something like a SQL or a Python, first of all, you would need to set up the environment. Then you would have to learn how to code, and then afterwards you will have to load all of the data in the environment, which could be your Python or SQL, and then and only then you can start processing the information and then start using it for summarizing or visualizing. So you see, all of these things require learning. It's not something that you can do it in an hour and be done with it. Now, no matter what anyone else says, it does take a little bit of time to learn how to code and adjust to one of these new environments. So if you're a complete beginner, you might actually feel like that it really takes a long time to do even the simplest of the tasks if you have to use something like SQL or a Python. Excel, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. Everything in Excel is designed to simplify any task. Anyone without any coding experience can get started and somewhat be proficient in a matter of days. So in essence, Excel does democratize data handling and processing for everyone. Its simple and intuitive design give a complete new user an excellent launch pad to get started. Now, for the most part, you don't have to remember a whole lot of things if you're using Excel. All you have to do is just take your mouse over to a particular option, and then afterwards you will have a small pop-up which will give you instruction of what this particular option does and how you can use it to solve your problem. So I'm in total alignment that Excel is an excellent data handling tool for a complete beginner. However, I feel like Excel's usability sort of gets like bottleneck right over there. So now shifting gear, and let's start talking about Excel from the perspective of a data analyst. Imagine you're a data analyst with a few years of experience up your sleeve. Doesn't matter whether it's a 2 years of experience or a 20 years of experience. At any stage, it's safe to say that if you're working in a company that deals with the data of decent size, then for any analysis, about 100 to 200,000 records in a data set is very common. Now, be it a customer data or a transaction data or a price data, least you can expect is about 100, 200, or maybe 500,000 records. While this could be a small to medium size for a normal corporate environment, it is simply too much for Excel. You don't have to believe me. Just take any data set with the 50 to 100 variables, about 200 to 500,000 records, and put it in an Excel sheet and now try to create a few additional variables on top of it. Very soon, Excel will throw some error like the operation that you're about to perform impacts too many records and cannot be undone. Would you still like to proceed? And if you do proceed, the entire system, including your computer, will start to lag and hang a little bit. And God forbid, if you add things like a pivot table or a VLOOKUP on the data, then it would be so slow that it would be practically impossible for you to work on it. So, issue number one, huge performance issue if you have a decent sized data. Now coming to the next one, which is ease of collaboration. For modern day and age, most of the time, more than one person works in any project, especially when it comes to analytics. For instance, one person might be working on extracting the data, another one might be working on testing one hypothesis, and the third person could be working on building another hypothesis. So you see, at this point in time, collaborative space is not a good to have, but it's an absolutely must. Now, Excel really lacks and lag in both of these areas. There is no easy out-of-the-box solution for a personal account users where you can have multiple users who are working on the same Excel sheet and collaborating among themselves. Now, I must say that one Microsoft-based solution, which I think goes through OneDrive, does provide somewhat of the flexibility to enterprise users. However, even over there, there's a huge performance-related issues. So let's just say that you're working on a collab space with multiple users who are making the changes on the same Excel sheet at the same time. Your system will try to upload the data every few seconds. And this really makes the entire system very laggy. So for instance, if you have like 50 to 100,000 records and more than 2 to 3 users are working on the same Excel workbook, it would start to lag by about like, let's say a half a second to a quarter second. Now, it might not sound a whole lot, but try working in that particular environment for hours. It would be so frustrating that you'll probably age with twice as much of a speed. Hopefully you got the idea, right? Coming to the next issue, which is version control. I don't think that Excel ever understood the concept of version control. I mean, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. If you're working on any of the analysis which goes through the different versions or the different phases, which could be pretty much all of the analysis that you're doing, then the only option that you have in Excel is to create different files, which is V1, V2, V3, and so on. Now imagine having 10 such files with the name which is V1 to V10 for each and every analysis that you work on. Soon enough, it does become very difficult to manage all of those different files. Now coming to the last bit, which is lack of automation. So I'll give you a very simple example. Let's just imagine that you're working on any of the low code to the high code environment. You work through the various aspects of the analysis, Once you're complete, you realize that the trend that you are seeing needs to be tracked over a period of time. So you might consider to take the entire code base and schedule it and make it run maybe once a day or once a week. And then afterwards, you would like to review the output or probably share it with your leadership on a regular basis. Now, if you're using something like Python or SQL, this is pretty simple and easy. Now, imagine doing the exact same thing with Excel. It would take a lot of time to structure it in a way so that it can even be automated. And even if you're able to make the step-by-step process, it would be a lot more cumbersome than pretty much any other language that I can think of. Now you might be thinking that why am I not talking about macros or VBAs and the likes of it? Because if you're using VBA, then pretty much everything that I just talked about can be easily automated. However, that sort of defeats the purpose of Excel. The whole point of Excel is the ease of use. If I have to learn something completely new, and if I have to learn a new coding language, then I might as well just go ahead and learn something like a Python or SQL, which has not only automation usability, but on top of it, there are like a lot of other things that I can do as well. So, in summary, here is how I feel about Excel. I think it's a great tool if you have a teeny tiny data set or you're a complete beginner. However, your life would become much more complicated the moment any of these factors change. I hope you agree with me, but please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, and I wish you best of luck in your learning journey.